Hello. So I want to share with you my experience trying to understand this code, the closure in JavaScript and saving the state. So we have this function, outer function, and inside it there is inner function. And I'm just trying to understand how it works. So let's see, first of all, if I run this code, what's gonna happen. Okay, now if I call this function, what's gonna happen? Let's see, outer function. Okay, test. Okay, now it's gonna happen. Let's see why. So what this supposed to have to do is, like, every time I call the inner function, it will console.log a counter and increment. If I call it again next time, it should increment it. Now when I did outer function, nothing happened. Why? If we see the code, we can see that the outer function return inner function. So if it return an inner function, why it did not console log anything? We will notice here that it doesn't invoke it. It just returns it as a function. So if I did console log right here, type of this, like, I want to see the type of the return of this function. So this, it's gonna invoke it, and then the return is gonna go through the type of, and it's console log. So if I run, we save. If I run the code, it's a function. So when I invoke outer function, it did return me a function. How I can make sure this is right? Maybe I do this as a string. I will return string and say it's gonna say string. Okay, string. So this time when I invoke it, it return me a string. Now let's go back to our outer function. So we say we call outer function, but it doesn't show anything. Why? So we understand that we return a function, so we need to invoke it, because here we didn't invoke it. We can invoke it outside like this. Oh, now I can see 0. Nice. Or I can invoke it from outside, from inside, before I return it, like this. Come on, parentheses. Okay. It's okay, I see it's 0 now. Okay. Now we have other thing. What if let's say I want to see if it's actually incrementing the counter. I can do, for example, let inner, because this outer, it's gonna return me the inner function. So inner. Now if I did inner, now notice I did inner in the invoke it. Why? Because this can return me function. Now this function is actually saved here. Now I can access it and invoke it. If I invoke it, what's gonna happen? Show 0. Nice. What if I invoke it another time? 1. Okay, so it is working. 0 1 2 0 1 2. Okay, what's happening here is I call outer function one time. Okay, I have one instance of outer function. Now this one the instance, it return me inner function. It return inner function, it save it in inner variable, and then I call that variable 3 times. So what I'm doing here, I'm calling the same instance of inner function. So the same instance, I'm calling it 3 times. Now let's do something maybe confusion. What if I did, if we say this gonna invoke the function, it says 0. So if I did like this, what this should show? It's probably gonna show like this, 0 1 2, right? Let's see. It says 0 0 0. Why? So if we look deeper, we can see that we are calling outer function, outer function 3 times. Now every time we call outer function, we are calling a new instance. This is not the same as this. Each one of these have count variable. It's isolated from each other. Okay, this may be confusing, but think of it like you create a class and you call that class 3 times, and each class have instance variable. Okay, if that's correct, that means if I have a global variable, it should work. Let's try it. Okay, it's work. So if I have a variable outside of the parent scope where all of these instances can access it, it will work 0, 1, 2. And we can also do it in as we did it before with the inner. We can say inner 2, inner 3, right? And if I did inner and then I call inner 2 and 3, it should be 0, 0, because each one, like we said, it's a new instance of this function. If I want them to have the same value, I will do cons like outside of the parent scope. So now they are everyone different, but they have the same, they share the same variable. Okay, that was interesting, and I thought I share it more. And what make me share this is the task number 9. Let's take a look at this code. So let's forget what we were doing before, and let's see this code. Now this code should do, we call logMe 3 times, and every time we give it an argument. Okay, now in the other file in the logMe, we export the logMe function. It's kind of the same as this, and we give it an argument, and they have inner function and with tracker. So let's see what this code gonna show. Min 9 main.js. Okay, it doesn't show anything interesting. Let's see why. So let's do console.log here. Let's see if it access test. Okay, it does access it, and it's called 3 times. Okay, so it's working, but why it doesn't show console.log? If we apply what we learn here, we can see that we are calling logMe 3 times, right? So that means each one is a different instance, but it's not showing anything. Why? So logMe, we call it, we invoke it. When we call this function, we return something. Okay, I can see here we have tracker, and we don't invoke it. So we actually return just this function here, but we don't invoke it. That's why. So if we invoke it here, it should show something. Okay, it does show something, but because we can't change in the main, we will have to do it here. So we'll do here. We will invoke it before we return it. Okay, it's working, but the counter is not working. And as we learned before, the counter should be like outside of parents, like global. Why? Because as we learned that each one of them is a new instance. So if I did this, it should work fine. Interesting. Okay, see you next time.